The Rams lose a tough one as injuries pile up. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Jack Powell Ford Mineral Wells Football Show with the head coach, Cody Worrell. As each and every week, I talk to Coach Worrell about the game that was and the game that is. And that's what we're going to do this week. And it is a short week as they have a Thursday night game against Fort Worth Eastern Hills after a very tough loss to Iowa Park, a 3A team that's way better than their 3A standing. At least I think they are this year with the new coach. And for Mineral Wells, also injuries are starting to pile up, and that's becoming an issue for Mineral Wells so early in the season. And of course, we will talk to Coach Worrell about that loss and about the injuries and just how, as a program, do you bounce back from that? How do you, figure the depth out? And he'll bring up a good point. I always record the coaches' shows before I do these opens. He'll bring up a good point about, it's really easy to say, well, next man up cliche, but, there is a limit to that. And so we'll talk to him about that. Want to thank our sponsor, Jack Powell Ford. You can find him online at jackpowellford.com. You can also find them in Mineral Wells at 1418 Southeast 1st Street, right there in Mineral Wells. If you're looking for a new vehicle or a pre-owned, just go to the website first. Check out the inventory. You can also get pre-qualified on the website. You can basically do everything you need to do on the website. You can even order parts. You can look at the financing situation. You can contact them for anything. But then if you do also want to go to the dealership, then you can still do that. They're open most days 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Saturday, it's 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. They're closed on Sundays. Is that still a thing? Like when I was growing up, I grew up in a small town in East Texas, but I do legitimately remember we would take a Sunday drive to go look at the dealership cars and just kind of drive around and look at the lot and just kind of walk around and stuff. And we'd go over to the bigger town and we'd go to 3 or 4 of them. And I don't even think my parents were legitimately looking for anything. I think they just enjoyed doing that. So is that still a thing? Let me know, Terry at S2Ssport.com. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it's the head coach of the Mineral Wells Rams, Coach Cody Worrell, right here on the Jack Powell Ford Mineral Wells Football Show.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe.
Terry Bennett back here on the Mineral Well Football Show, now joined by the head coach of the Rams, Coach Cody Worrell. And Coach, tough, frustrating loss last week to Iowa Park, 33-20. You outgained them, you out pass yards them, you out first down them, but I think you would be the first to say you also out mistaked Iowa Park last week.
Yeah, when we had some mistakes, and not just on the players, as coaches as well. We had mistakes out there as well, and man, we right at the start of the game, I thought we were executing really well, and at the end of the game, I thought we were executing pretty well, both offensively and defensively. But man, the middle part of that game got away from us. We weren't executing real well. We were having costly mistakes, on both sides of the ball, and we just didn't play. We just didn't play our best, and that's on me. I didn't have our kids, ready to go, but we just we got to move forward. Can't dwell on it, and got to move forward and get ready for Eastern Hills.
Now, we didn't really talk about it last week in the show, but we're going to talk about it now. And we talked about going into the beginning of the year, y'all were a young team, and, with a young team, that also means you might have young depth, and y'all are already going through a rash of injuries. So how is the coaching staff handling the injury issues and trying to find new guys to play in new spots?
Yeah, well, the cliche thing to say is the next man up. And that is true. I mean, we have to have guys step up but the main thing is making sure that the guys that we do have are executing well and playing hard. Limiting contact and practices because we don't have just a ton of depth. We lost our biggest receiver, lost him after the first scrimmage. And then, going into week 1, we actually had 2 defensive starters out, and then during that game, our quarterback goes down and with a broken ankle, and I say he goes down. He actually finished the first half. He thought it was rolled. The trainer thought it was rolled. I thought it was rolled. The doctor, when he looked at it before he took the X-ray, thought it was rolled, and it ended up being a break. And he had surgery last Friday. And then the kid that we've had basically being our number 2 quarterback, broke his pinky in that same game and has a club on his hand right now. And we went with the kid that has been getting reps all spring and all summer. He would rotate games during 7-on-7. He got reps. It's not like he's new to it. So that's the good thing. The good thing is we had been working 3 different quarterbacks, but his role changed from week 1 to week 2. He was playing receiver for us week 1, and then a week later he's the starting quarterback, and you just never know what can happen. Never know what can happen. And that kid, he did a good job last week, and he had some mistakes, but man, we didn't lose that game because of him. And we had mistakes all over the board, and we just got to correct them and keep on keeping on.
Well, and you, as you said, the cliche is next man up, and that sounds great and all. But these kind of injuries can schematically change what y'all do offensively. Are you having to pull out plays and simple things down, or because he took snaps, all through spring and camp and stuff, can y'all run most of your offense?
Well, we definitely wanted to put him in good situations last week. And we thought, we thought we were. And then as the game went on, when we had to start playing catch up, it started becoming more and more, more pressure situations for a quarterback, especially a quarterback on his first start. And that wasn't the intent at all. Like I said, I'm telling you, I thought he played well. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. But he played well. And he's not, like I said, he's not the reason why we lost the game. But from an offensive standpoint, yes, to answer your question, and the other thing is too, after your third string quarterback, who else do you have?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to be careful with what we do with him, limit his touches, limit his ability to run the football. But the other thing is just putting him into in good situations. And that's what we're going to try to continue to do until we get some people healthy.
And we had talked about it last week. You had said one of your worries defensively was if Iowa Park can get their big bodies out and start leaning on y'all. And this Iowa Park team feels a little different. I got to see a little bit of the highlights, and that size is finally starting to work for them. And I think that Hawk offense is going to be tough to stop down there.
No, they are. Coach Brian Wood did a fantastic job in the game. They just got after us. I mean, I say up front, they just got those big bodies, foot-to-foot splits, and just started moving the ball. And, I didn't know if they were going to try to, off that, throw the ball off, but they really didn't. And kudos to them, and kudos to Coach Wood for sticking with something that was working for them. And they were good. They're much improved team from a year ago, and I think that they're going to do really good things in that tough district that they're in.
All right, well, you closed the book on that one. Now it's a Thursday night matchup on the road at Fort Worth Eastern Hills, and I feel like this is a broken record. We're going to say this for the third year in a row. Eastern Hills, they're a very talented team, if inconsistent.
No, absolutely. They've got kids. Quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, they can all, their linemen are big. They've got big linemen. They average probably about 270, 275 across the board. And, things aren't getting any easier for the Rams this week. They're one of those teams that, at any given time, their kids could take it to the house. And defensively, they're solid too. Their Mike linebacker, great looking kid, plays really hard. Their defensive line's big. Their ends are one of their ends is very, very athletic, but their Mike linebacker, we're going to have to find ways to get him blocked. And their coaches do a good job. Coach Anderson does a good job for those guys. And we just gotta get ready to go for tomorrow night.
As a coach, this has been a frustrating start to the season. You got a good win, but then injuries, and then you played good at times in spots last week. But the injuries have kind of become a big overriding thing. So as a coach, how do you stay positive? Because you know this, you're a good communicator. Kids read body language. They'll know if you are feeding them a line of crap. So how do you balance that staying positive while I know you're frustrated with how the season has started injury-wise?
No, and our kids are smart too. They know what we're dealing with, but they also know that everyone else has to step up. When someone goes down, it's not just the person in that position has to step up. Everybody's got to step up. We've got to be a little bit different, have a different mindset. A couple of kids that want to break every now and then going both ways, they're going to have to suck it up and keep going. and they know that. But we're just, the positive. Our kids aren't dwelling at all. I mean, we expect to win every time we get on the field, and nothing has changed on that. On that standpoint, no matter who's playing, who's not playing for our team. And like I said, the coaches have stayed positive this week. We came in on Saturday, fixed corrections. We've stayed on Monday and Tuesday trying to fix corrections, executing new offensive stuff that we've put on, and new defensive stuff that we put on, and making sure that we are fine tuned for Thursday night.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe.
As always, we want to thank the head coach, Coach Cody Worrell, for joining us. Again, Thursday night matchup. Eastern Hills is very athletic, but they're also very inconsistent. I think this is a chance for Mineral Wells to get back on the winning side of things. But I mean, honestly, at this point, you're just wanting to get to district healthy because I mean, you're in a district that is still really strong, and I know Graham has kind of came out of the gate slow, and honestly, so is Eagle Mountain. But that district, once it comes district time, expect those teams to be ready to go, and hopefully the Rams can get healthy and get some guys back before then. So you're just trying to survive till district play, but then you still want to keep developing the team, not only getting wins, but the guys on the field are getting reps and they're getting better. And so it's a rough start for 2025 for the Mineral Wells, but I have a funny feeling they'll figure things out before it is over. Again, I want to thank Jack Powell Ford for being the sponsor of this show. Find him online, jackpowellford.com. I always say find him. Find the dealership online at jackpowellford.com or at 1418 Southeast 1st Street in Mineral Wells. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments for me or for Coach Worrell, just email them to me, Terry at s2ssport.com. And until next week, this has been the Jack Powell Ford Mineral Wells Football Show on L4 Media.